Adam, without a doubt, is the most disliked character in RWBY. Even when compared to Salem, people typically dislike Adam more because, weirdly enough, he's easy to dislike. Me being me, I never disliked Adam. He was actually one of my favorites. And those who share the liking for him are definitely in the minority. But after Volume 5, the qualities that kept the few who did like his character got almost completely erased, leaving the majority still hating him, while the few who like him are finding it more and more difficult to justify their opinion. I myself still refuse to be an Adam hater, and it's not that I don't like Adam anymore, but rather, I don't like what he seems to have become. What do I mean by that? Well, what do we know about Adam and his actions in the current time? Well, throughout Volume 5, Blake's life seems to be Adam's life. He wants to be on her mind all the time, and he uses fear to do it, similar to his tactics in the White Fang. But Blake ultimately really seems to dominate his actions. He sends men over and over to kidnap her and kill her family. The amount of resources he wastes on her is too much for any logical leader, and his attitude has also taken a hit because of it. We see how angry and emotional he gets when he thinks about her. He becomes completely irrational. Some people would argue that the reason he was so unstable was because his plans of taking down Haven were thwarted, causing him to be so over the top. However, that's not the case, because even when he was on the hologram, there was no outside play, but he still got overly emotional when talking about Blake. That is the current day Adam that I've begun to enjoy less. I would and do describe him as an ex who just realized he's been broken up with. Now, let's rewind a bit and go to Volume 3 Adam. This Adam, while his emotions were still hot when it came to Blake, it wasn't out of control. He still got heated, but managed to keep a level head when in front of her. This Adam I wouldn't describe as an ex-boyfriend. From this point backwards, I would describe him as a psychopath. He knows all the harm that he's doing, he said that he's gonna kill everyone Blake cares about, and he doesn't care about the morality of it. He antagonized others, and his mind wasn't clouded by any sort of delusion. He was fully aware of the way he was acting, but ultimately, he didn't care. That mindset of being an angry ex-boyfriend didn't even cross my mind when I saw him that volume. And that's what Adam used to be, a psychopath with a goal where Blake didn't dominate his mind. Now, one of the things Adam has going for him in terms of interest is the anonymity of his past. We know absolutely nothing of what he used to be, how he used to act, and most importantly, what he went through. I don't want to make up a story for Adam to try and prove a point. All I can do currently is try to explain what it feels like his story was before Blake. Now, the songs are as canon as you personally would like to believe. It's not the most concrete piece of evidence to bring up because not everyone believes they're truly canon. However, I am going to bring one up. From Shadows Part 1 and possibly Part 2 are currently the only songs that have Adam's perspective. Part 1 is the important one here because it hints to him as a character. That song, as well as his actions in the show, to me, has always given me the impression that he personally, for whatever reason, carried the weight and history of the Faunus on his own shoulders. He seems to hate the humans because of the decades of discrimination his race went through. It seems that everything that happened to the Faunus, he took them personally. That is the vibe I've always gotten from his character with the information we've been given. But I've always gotten the impression that the past and how he was treated as a Faunus shaped him into who he was and determined his actions. Adam was a character whose ideals and path was justifiable. You could see what he's doing and why he's doing it. However, it's the way he's going about it that's wrong. He and the Faunus were treated like dirt and killed for just being alive, and so he's returning the favor. That's the way I've always seen Adam from Volume 3 and back. His intentions were right, his actions were understandable, and he was a psychopath who didn't care what he did, how he did it, or how he got there. And the problem with Adam as he currently is his obsession with Blake. It's natural that when someone gets involved in your life like Blake, some focus will inevitably divert to said person. But the problem here is that all the attention seems to have gone to Blake. I no longer feel as though Adam cares about his goal of making humans pay for the sake of the Faunus. The goal seems to have taken a back seat to his obsession over Blake. Instead of his psychopathic ways and his lack of morality of harming people, it's now been replaced with anger and being upset over a girl. One of the biggest contradictions to his character, I think, is how he wants to deal with Blake. He's said and demanded over and over again that he wants Blake alive. Don't kill her, bring her to me. But the contradiction here is the amount of times that he's tried to kill Blake. So, which is it? Does he want her alive or dead? And this is such an ambiguous place to be with a character's motivation. Originally, I thought that the reason he wanted Blake alive was because she was the one moral line he couldn't cross because he was obsessed with her. A man with no morals who would kill everyone aside from one person, but that one person is his biggest obstacle. But that mindset has been contradicted over and over when he does try to kill her, but tells other people that he wants her alive. His words say one thing, but his actions do another. His character just seems to be flip-flopping back and forth to fit whatever is convenient for the plot. Also, one of the biggest disappointments for me so far has been the lack of follow-through when it came to his statement in Volume 3. He is going to take away everything Blake cares about. Story-wise, Adam is Blake's biggest obstacle. He is right under Salem and neck with Cinder in terms of villain relevance in the show. So that threat should not be an empty one. Multiple people Blake cares about should and need to be taken away from her. That's not a threat that a character like Adam should make if nothing is going to happen. Characters like Ilya, Sun, Kali, Gira, and whatever other characters we have yet to meet that mean something to Blake, multiple of them have to die to justify the legitimacy of a threat that Adam really is to her. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to see them die. Sun and Kali are two of my favorite characters in the entirety of this series. But if nothing happens to anyone Blake cares about, then it would be almost insulting to Adam's character. But the show still has time for moments like that to eventually play out. Adam went from a character who didn't have any morals and would kill people because he didn't want his entire species to be discriminated against, to an angry ex who still wants the best for his kind, but that goal has taken such a back seat when compared to Blake. The things that made Adam interesting took a hard hit in Volume 5 and knocked them down a bit. The Adam before Blake seems interesting. The Adam with Blake seems interesting. The Adam who is after Blake has begun to lose interest. So then, what could it do better? At this point, it can't turn away from his obsession over Blake. History has been set in stone, and his obsession of wanting to rule her life is where he's at, so they can't not focus on that. But I would say that they should continue to put a bit more focus on his goal for not being discriminated against. Show us that that is still his goal and has always been his goal, because it truly is. It could be as simple of a scene where Adam sees someone discriminating against a faunus and treating them like dirt, and Adam just kills the person. Something like that would show that Adam still doesn't tolerate those kinds of people and is still a psychopath who will murder without hesitation, while also not having to be obsessed about Blake every waking moment. I just feel as though Adam's actual goal for the faunus has gotten lost within having to be relevant to Blake's story. The audience views him as a generic terrorist, which isn't untrue, but it's not interesting for a character. I think that instead of representing him as a run-of-the-mill terrorist, it'd be better if he were the prime example of a misguided faunus. Being evil for evil's sake isn't the deepest or most unique route a character can go on, but being evil for good's sake, few if any of the other villains do that. And I think that aspect has gotten lost within the bubble that was Adam's character. This series doesn't really show us the quote-unquote, and I use this very loosely, good the White Fang has done. Even if it is out of fear, we're not seeing any of the aspects that were being achieved. All we see are the bad things the White Fang does, which makes them even more easily perceived as just generic terrorists. I just hope for the future we see more of Adam trying to do good things for the faunus in a not-so-good way. I'm a fan of Adam, I still am. However, after Volume 5, it's definitely become a lot harder to justify the reasons I liked him. Now, this is just my point of view. I'm one person. You may think that they're doing absolutely amazing things with his character currently, and that's great. I don't want to pretend like I have the answers and can fix everything in the show, because I can't. I just wanted to share my opinion on a character that I think has become a lot less interesting in the past year. But, most importantly, I want to know what you guys think and your opinion on it. So, let me know down in the comments, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're interested in more content like this, follow me on all social medias, and I'll see you in the next video.